This is SportsCenter with Elle Duncan and Ashley Brewer.
Hey, it's Friday then. Hey. Ladies' night tonight coming up. We're going to set the table for Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Why the Hawks are unhappy and how it could potentially impact Giannis's performance tonight.
I am loving these playoffs. I know you are as well. Yeah. And we'll have the latest on the potential impact of the COVID-19 vaccine on the NFL season. But first, our top headlines start with some coaching news in the NBA, and it is the Dallas.
I mean, they were counting to 12 in Brooklyn, and they still weren't making the call. Malika Andrews knows. She was there. Joining us from the Eastern Conference Finals in Milwaukee, covering the Bucks side for us tonight, Mike Budenholzer, set to talk before the game tonight. What have Giannis and the Bucks been saying about those free throws?
Well, he's going to talk in just a couple of minutes, Elle.
And there it is. And the rest of us are going to have to, I suppose, unless, of course, they call that violation. So we'll certainly keep an eye on that. The Bucks are not known for making drastic adjustments from game to game. And I think that's maybe putting it nicely. At least maybe Coach Bud isn't. But they need to change something from game one. So what are they saying about the importance of tying up this series tonight? They were trying to contend with Trae. They had to go small, and because of that, they missed out on some opportunities to crash the board. Malika Andrews with the latest ahead of Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. In this very show, we found out the verdict on the 3 charges that Derek Chauvin faced for killing George Floyd on Memorial Day last year. After being found guilty of all counts, today the judge in the case sentenced the former Minneapolis police officer to 22.5 years in prison. Joining us now, ABC News reporter Faith Abube, joining us from Minneapolis. Faith, good evening. The sentencing was handed down after a last-minute motion for a new trial was denied. Chauvin still facing federal charges and potentially another trial for killing Floyd. Faith, thank you. Our ESPN NBA reporter Dave McMenamy, who's joining us now. What are Book and the Sun saying about that injury and the impact it's potentially having on his performance? From the mid-range, right? Especially coupled with CP3. By the way, there's a whole subset of the population that couldn't even spot Rip Hamilton without that mask on. They don't even know what his face actually looks like. Adding insult to injury for the Suns, not only do they lose the game, but they lose Cameron Payne. He rolled his ankle early in Game 3. He didn't return. He almost single-handedly kept them. A breakout performance for Payne. We'll see if he is able to go, as finally this series is looking like a bit of one. The Clippers on the board. And that is, of course, because of Paul George, the aforementioned Game 1 victory in Milwaukee. So ahead of Game 2, we bring Kendrick Perkins in to join us, our ESPN NBA analyst. Bucks didn't figure out an answer, even in that Sixers Game 1, right? When Trae was going off, it seemed down the stretch they started to figure him out. Not so much from what we saw the other night. What is the solution to guarding Trae Young?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I know we're in the month of June.
Interesting, when Coach Bud, during his in-game interview, he said, Trae Young's not the problem, everybody else is. I was like, no, he's absolutely the problem. So is Devin Booker in the West, particularly lately, struggled in Game 3, which was his first game with that protective mask following his nose injury in Game 2. And we've sort of seen his play decline a bit since that injury. How much do you attribute his struggles to having to wear that mask, or was it just the Clippers' really stout defense?
Yeah, it was a mask, all right. And
I love it. Like a pair of leggings, which, by the way, are incredibly comfortable. So maybe he's like a pair of leather pants, because they're not comfortable either, and you sort of hate them when you put them on. Kendrick Perkins joining us for the most on NBA. Preach, Kirk. Royce Young is with us from the Eastern Conference Finals in Milwaukee, is covering the Hawks for us. Outside of figuring out how to match up against Giannis, they also need to figure out how to keep feeding that monster, the monster of Trae Young, 48 points in game night. How are the Hawks looking to build off of that big Game 1 into Game 2?
Well, a main message
about setting the tone. The Hawks are 3-1 when Trae Young hits double digits in the first quarter. We'll see if we can get him off to a hot start again in Game 2 tonight. Royce Young joining us from Milwaukee.
Ashley Brewer.
Red velvet.
Red velvet.
I like the sound of that. That's nice. Welcome into SportsCenter. We're getting set for the next game live at the College World Series. Texas, Mississippi State. We can't wait.
Okay, in fact, we're so excited about it. We're going to get it over to Carl Ravage right now as we are getting ready for first pitch, which is coming up at about 7:55 Eastern right here on ESPN. It was delayed after Vandy beat NC State, but let's set the table with Ravi. All right, thank you so much, Ravi. We are looking forward to that. Again, 7:55 first pitch. Things got shifted a little bit because of an unforeseen circumstance with the NC State-Vandy game, but alas, College World Series baseball is on the way. However, we're going to get you to a big night in the NBA as well. We'll set the Hawks in 5. Ashley?
Hawks in 5, because I love you.
Yes.
And I want you to be happy. Yep. All right, Carl Ravitch is standing by. The College World Series, Texas, Mississippi State. Hook 'em horns. Let's go.
I know. Your 2 years in Texas, you got them. They've got that Brew Crew
Sixth
love.
Street, yes.
You'll want it. Take it away,
Enjoy.
Ravi.